Okay, everyone. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I'm chairing the Town Properties Committee this evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order Tuesday, May 10th at 6:04 p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Julie Byers, present.
Kevin Smith, present.
Vicki Tippman, present.
Jody is
Yeah.
present. Okay. Number 3 on the agenda, additions or deletions to the agenda not foreseen 48 hours prior to. In looking at it, we're just going to go through the discussion items that I see unless somebody had something else to add. Hearing none. Number 4, review and discuss transferring property to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. I'd like to just take a minute and explain what happened at the annual meeting. And ultimately, we did get just over a 2/3 vote to be able to transfer the properties that we had recommended to the Board of Selectmen last fall. Very pleased to report that. And there was some erroneous information given out at Town Hall. Perhaps we didn't go through the right steps that others thought that we might like to. So I just want to recap what we actually did. After after viewing the lots that were available and walking the properties that we thought might be good, and as an aside, outside of the Townsend Housing Trust, we did also recommend properties to go to Conservation Commission. I think that was the only other one that we recommended to for as far as boards or committees of the town. Since that time, we did get a DLT grant that was in the works that will allow funds to study those lots, do testing, and give recommendations to the town of its use. The whole purpose of those pieces of property was to give assets to the housing authority. In lieu of actual dollars, we were using non-income producing land to give to the trust, to have studied by the DLTA and get recommendations so that either it will be buildable land or it will be land that will be sold by the trust to use as seed money for any projects that they might do. Example of that would be Fish and Wildlife. So there was some of that discussion at the annual meeting. I'm hoping that my explanation right now has made that clearer. Then the next one, does anyone have any questions on that? Thank you for allowing me that time. Number 5, review map of vacant land. Vicki, I'm going to turn to you on this. We did a pretty extensive review in September, and I think we addressed everything. Was there something else that we needed to address besides number 6?
No.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so then we can move right to number 6, review of site walk of 182 Warren Road. And Kevin, I'm hoping that you have a report for us on that parcel.
Well, the piece of I walked the property. I didn't walk it in its entirety. It's a lot that has a fair amount of wetlands on it. It's also got some evidence of probably ledge. Would be my opinion that there may be something on the lot, as far as maybe one lot, with some, obviously, some, we've got to get a little clearer view on the wetlands.
Okay.
So I would think that for the time being, we probably should hold it until either we get some funds as we move forwards to take a look at it a little bit closer. And then I think we could rule on it as to one way or the other, whether it's buildable or whether it's something that, I believe Fish and Wildlife abuts that property, I believe, in the back. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Or might it be possible to sell to an abutter?
And get
tax and
was-
money for the town?
going to be my next point, is to offer it to the abutters, as some of this other land may fetch the town more, a little more money by doing that than, because there is some pieces in town, there's quite several of them that are obviously going to be deemed unbuildable, undevelopable. And at that point, it's pretty good to offer it to the abutters and get it back in the tax rolls. So that's my take on that.
Thank you, Kevin, for doing that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I understand that at one point, the Board of Health and the town administrator, at the time, maybe a couple other people, had looked at some of the property because of that house. There were vagrants in it and they needed to board it up. So
Which one is that now, Lori?
to the left, there's a house there.
You mean
Actually,
down-
I think it's on that property.
It is on the property.
Yeah. So, I have not walked back there, but my understanding is that there is, like a lot of debris.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of cleanup required.
Okay, I guess that's what I was gonna say. So, again, thank you for that. And Mike Crowley, since you are here, would that be a property that you and the conservation agent could take a look at?
Potentially.
And
What are you hoping to get out of us taking a look at it? Like, are you looking for something in particular?
well, I don't know anything about wetlands.
Okay.
So, if, and just in case nobody knows, I have a black thumb, so I don't know anything about any kind of vegetation. So I definitely look to the experts for that. So if that is something that maybe you could chime in on,
I would ask the board to look at it, not just. I would ask
the conservation board and not the agent?
correct. The agent as well as the board to review it as other parcels in town.
I think that makes sense to just send a request over the Comms Commission to review it, because they could,
They can do a site walk.
they could do a site walk, they could just ask Jessica to do it, they would at least know what's going on and why Jessica's out there if she does end up going out there. The only thing I will say is she doesn't typically do delineations, so if we're looking for like full delineation, just a general like, yep, there's some wet land out here.
Yeah. If the Conservation Commission walked it, if they thought that there might be something there, Lori, we're gonna have to hire a civil engineer to actually delineate the wetlands that are there, as well as like that parcel maybe on Hickory,
Uh-huh.
big parcel in there. Now, we tested that a number of years ago. I did that 25 years ago, I believe. Were you on the board then?
Yes, I was. Was it that long ago? Jeez.
We tested that to see
Yes, I remember that with Karen Chapman.
Correct. It was a long time
Oh,
ago.
maybe not 20, but more than 10.
Well, it
More
was
than 10.
longer ago than that, I believe.
Could be, because I think Kathy Arujo was
Kathy
involved, I
was.
think. Yeah. So, okay, I'm good if the board is good with sending the request to Conservation Commission for their take on it. we should look at it a little bit more, I think, before we invest dollars, if we do end up offering to abutters, because it does require cleanup to be made anything, so there's a cost factor to that, to whoever's going to buy it anyway.
Well, I'd probably let them assume that.
Yeah, well, yes, of course.
But I think getting the Conservation Commission to at least go out as a commission and do a site walk on it as if they were kind of investigating a piece of property that, you know, I think that's probably a good idea. Let them go out and let them give us a report on what they think.
Okay,
You know.
so I'll entertain a motion that we send a request to the Conservation Commission to ask them to do a site walk on 182 Warren Road.
I'll make a
And
motion.
Get an opinion.
for their opinion.
Sorry, my dog is right here. I'll make a motion to refer 182 Warren Road to the Conservation Commission.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Julie Byers, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
Vicky Kidman, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes. Okay, so that's unanimous, and thank you for your opinion, Mike, on that. You're with us this evening. Would you like to speak to us?
I was just coming by to say hi. I haven't had a chance to come down and sit with the property folks yet. My office is really getting along well. We're getting an order, and we've been working a lot with the assessors to try and get a good inventory of different lands in town, and what types of open space restrictions, conservation restrictions, what is town-owned land, what is state-owned land. They've been doing a great job. I think it makes a lot of sense for me to be available to you guys if you need me for anything, to reach out, and I'm happy to come to any of the meetings. But I also know that everybody has a lot of things to do. So if you ever need anything, you're welcome to reach out. I'm happy to come to a meeting. And I'll try and pop in if I can and hang out with you guys. This is a cool crowd.
Okay,
Quick question for you.
I can't hear Kevin.
Hi, Lori.
Did
Can I
you
ask
want
my
to say something?
Excuse me?
Did you want to say something?
I did.
Oh, please.
I wanted to ask land use a question.
That would be Mike.
Excuse me?
That's Mike. Go ahead.
I know the state's bought quite a lot of land in town in recent years. We used to have a number of the percentage of land that was owned by the state and the town for open space and conservation. I know it's changed since I know the state just recently bought some acreage on West Meadow. They bought some land over on 13. I was just wondering if you could give us you had a chance, if you could figure that number out so that we have it.
I can give you a ballpark on those right now. Been doing that kind of assessment. At current, the town-owned land that falls under the general category of open space is about 4% of the total town area. That includes things like town land that is for purposes of water department land, town land that's owned by the Conservation Commission, town land that's under Cemetery and Parks Department.
So that number's 4%. That hasn't changed. The town
Pretty
is
much in that same
Yeah.
ballpark. There've been some small changes, but for the most part, that's not been something that the town's been doing a lot of. Is
No.
acquiring new
It was
property.
4%.
Yeah, well,
We thought it was respectively about
Yeah.
4%. What's the state?
the state is a little bit trickier. I've actually been working on that with them. At the time of the last open space plan that was developed in 2013, it was 33% of the state town. I've been doing some figures with them. It's a little bit tricky because, as we've been working on actually earlier today, the state has many names for itself. And so it's literally in some cases going through parcel by parcel. Is this Division of Fish and Wildlife, Mass Fish and Wildlife, Mass Division of Fish and Wildlife, all of these are different. Forests and Parks.
I think that
I
was
think
about 38%.
I think it is closer to that, or even as high as 40%. We're still working that out, and I bet that as we kind of nail down this figure,
It was about 35, 36%, 36, maybe even 37. They bought some recent fairly large acquisitions
Yeah.
in town in recent years. I think it's bumped it up to, by my dumb farmer mathematics, about 38%.
Well, I'm happy to, when I have specifics of percentages and acreage, I can send that over to you for the state. That's going to take some more time. And there's probably going to be the best pathway forward is actually to go request something from the state, which is we're in the process of getting some information from the state and then backtracking state property records to what's in Townsend. But in some cases, they have parcels that are indicated on the map that say that they are, say, an 800-acre parcel, but it looks like 100 acres, and then it's on the town line, and the other side of the town, the other pound of the sign says it's an 800-acre parcel that looks like 700 acres. And so it's a combination of the coding the state uses. Yeah, and a lot of the state.
Ashby Towns.
Yeah, well, most of Willard Brook crosses
Into
back
Ashby.
and forth.
Yeah.
We've got property. So it's something that we're working on putting together, but unfortunately it's a little more complicated. I wish I brought the list you gave me. She found a great example of a list of like 100 different names of state land that they use.
Yeah.
So these guys have been really helpful working on that. So I'm going to continue to work on that. And then I can also, if you are interested, there is open space that's under private ownership, which is under a citizen ownership. So Chapter 61 land, land that's under conservation restrictions, that equals about 14% of the town. Yeah, so.
We are a family home.
And the list that Jody gave you,
Mhm.
I think, what did you say, the newest one was 2016?
I think so.
Because I can go on to the gateway and I can find any of the acquisitions that were after 2016.
Okay, great. Thanks. Ooh, I got some free resources out here. Look at this. This is great. I don't get as much.
How do you take a coffee, Jody?
So my next question, are the land within the Squanicook River area that's non-buildable. And the reason I'm trying to come up with a number is I was asked recently by a fellow, and I thought it was around, it always was about 45% of the land in Townsend is forever protected, I'd like to call it. And I'm just curious as to how that number is.
That seems to track. So Chapter 61 land
Well,
is not forever.
You can't use that as, but open space preservation land,
Yeah.
you can. 61 you can't, because some farmers are just, there's some people that have land in 61A are old and they just can't continue to maintain it.
Yeah,
Some are taken out. Our family would, in particular, would never do that, but there are some that
Well,
have
you
to.
mentioned in perpetuity, and I don't, while Chapter 61 land is under open space protection currently, it's not in perpetuity because
No,
it's something that it's the right of the owner to continue to move forward with. Yeah. So what was your question again? Just so I can get it right.
Well, if you take in the fact of the Squanicook River and its tributaries, that is also a percentage. Harbor Ponds is also a percentage of space within the town that's that can obviously never be built. Number that I came up with was almost 50%.
But the
of
not buildable or the buildable side?
It's probably well over 50% of the total volume of land in the town will be forever protected, be it privately held, public land, or wetlands.
So under the current open space, the percentage is approximately 54%, but about 14% of that, 58%, 14% of that is chapter land. So in terms of land under open space, it's about 44 or so. That doesn't take into account rivers and water surfaces. I don't have a total area of water, but it's in the ballpark of, I would say it's in the ballpark of 50, give or take. So it could be 45, it could be 55, it could be 50, but that's the delineation. And then there's also properties that, like, what's under roadways, for example, or not able to put a house on.
No, that's great for our town. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's going to impact us as taxpayers down the road because
Mhm.
it's, we don't have any industry. And really, we don't have any land to put the industry in. Limited is to, I think the good land in town, the majority of probably the developed land in town is owned by forests and parks or fish and wildlife. And I'd say that maybe the land on the, Route 13 North and things like that are actually developable property. I believe we're always going to have limited development in towns. Good thing, a bad thing, I guess, depending on how you look at it. It's a good thing. Good thing. It's a good thing. No, I love it. I mean, I've lived in town since, I say Townsend was Townsend, but it's going to impact us, I believe, as taxpayers moving forwards, because we don't have any industry or land that we can really put much industry on. So we're going to always be a town, if I believe it. I say this is limited development. Well, it's good and bad. All set, Lori.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your conversation. I think
Yeah.
all of that is good and informational. I would like to ask Mike, somebody said this to me at some point, because we're an appointed board and our terms end June 30th each year. We're appointed by the Board of Selectmen. So, and we each have positions. If you look at the header on our agenda, that are guided by the charter. So I think we'd like to ask your assistance in obtaining people from the Finance Committee, Conservation Committee, and Highway Department. I've been the planning board rep. That will most likely continue for a while. Julie is on our assessors board, but she's a general member. Kevin serves as a general member, and Vicki represents the Board of Assessors. So we're lacking 3 people per the charter. And I was just wondering if we could ask your assistance in
Only some people.
pulling some people in from those other boards per the charter.
Well, first off, thanks for the question. So for the Conservation Commission, we currently have 1 vacancy, and we have 2 of our committee members whose term is expiring. So we're going to have a pretty small committee. Hopefully we'll get some more interest and some more volunteers moving forward.
Before,
But-
I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
before, Lori, just for 1 second, they don't have to be members of the board
I was just going to say that.
to represent the board. So they,
Right.
if you can find a body, that would be fine. It does not have to be.
The more talent, the better.
Yes.
As you may be aware, Townsend just formed an open space committee to work on their open space plan. We have an open space plan that was developed, I referenced earlier, in 2013, that was a term of 7 years, so it's 2 years expired. So I just went out on the trail and gathered up representatives from committees, some of which were committee members, others are just people they picked off the street. No, I'm kidding. They're qualified people, but there were people who had availability. I am happy to reach out to folks again to let them know that these are out there. I actually don't have any, don't know who is the finance committee, and I'm connecting with the finance committee yet. And the highway department, I can reach out to folks there and just let them know that this is here. But I think it probably that you won't get someone until after the term ends that you're currently in. So I believe that we're in the term. You mentioned that the terms for this committee are appointed through the end of June. Is that correct?
That's correct. And my
Okay.
thoughts were,
Yeah.
if I may, that
Please.
I see you as a blur, so I'm not sure how this is going to come out on when it actually goes to video. But I'm thinking of us meeting again on June 21st after the next assessors meeting. And I will let you know that Kevin used to be a representative from the highway department, even though he wasn't on the highway department.
Mhm.
So it can be almost anyone that those particular departments would appoint to be recommended for the Town Properties Committee to the Board of Selectmen. And
Well,
then,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, only that the next appointment begins July 1st. So obviously, we're not going to make July 1st, but if we meet on the 23rd and we have some recommendations prior to that date, we can get on a July Board of Selectmen agenda to be appointed. A lot of times this doesn't happen until they forget about town properties and the appointments don't happen for anywhere, sometimes from 6 to 8 to 9 months after July. So just putting it out there so that you know the process, and I'm trying to be in front of the dates that we need. If that makes any sense.
I'm happy to help. Like I mentioned with the Open Space Committee, we went from a committee that had 7 vacancies to only 1. So I have had some success at getting representatives in place. I am happy to talk to Conscom about this, reach out to the Highway Department. I'm not sure I'm the best person to reach out to the Finance Committee because I don't have any connection to them, but I can figure that out. Who will be the person to call if you'd like? I'm happy to just reach over and say, hey.
Who's on finance now?
Well, Andrea's still on the finance, and she used to be on town properties. Finance was, well, mostly all of finance was at the annual meeting. They were sitting on the floor, in the front, and they were introduced. So I think it's, there's a list of them on the website, I believe.
I could probably send an email to the chair, if it's Andrea or, I don't know, Sam, whoever it is, the chair, and see if any of them are interested.
Is there Dawn?
Dawn is the chair, I believe, Dawn Hayes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Can we do that?
Yep.
Yeah, so that would be the intent. And maybe, Jody, if you wouldn't mind, can you, and maybe just blind copy a number of boards and let them know that Town Properties is meeting on June 23rd for their last meeting of this fiscal year. And would you reappoint for the next fiscal year? So that should include planning and the assessors board. The next meeting, whatever each of these boards has, should address appointing someone to Town Properties to move forward to the BOS. Okay, then it's
Yep.
not us holding anything up. Okay, is there anything else to bring before our meeting tonight?
I did send out minutes.
Oh, did I miss them on the agenda? No.
Yeah, I don't think I put it on the agenda. I've just been using the same template since 1986. So
Is that September 8th, 2021?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you have those, Julie.
I do. Although it's titled agenda. Is it supposed to be titled
fixed that.
minutes?
Yeah, I already
Oh,
fixed that,
sorry, I saw
Julie.
the wrong
Sorry.
one.
No,
Okay.
yeah, it was incorrectly labeled, but it is actually minutes, and I already fixed that. If you want to make a motion to
Yep.
fix that, that's fine.
I don't think I don't need a motion for that, do I, Laura? To change the
Make a
name?
motion to accept them.
No, just
Prove? Yeah.
Jody has, changed that title. It'll just be the, you're just going to move to approve the minutes of September 8th, 2021.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the Townsend Properties Committee minutes from Wednesday, September 8th, 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, and Kevin seconded. Any further discussion? Like you said, I can't believe it's been
Yeah,
that long. Maybe because there's so many other meetings. Just, we've met somewhere in there in between. So, hearing no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Excuse me, I'll call for a roll call vote.
Julie Byers, yes.
Kevin Smith, yes.
Vicky Tippin, yes.
And Laura Schifrin, yes. Okay, thank you very much. Anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:34 PM.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the Townsend Properties Committee meeting at 6:34 PM.
I'll second.
Second,
Okay, we got second. And call for a roll call vote. I don't think there's any discussion on this.
Julie Byers, yes.
Tippin, yes.
Kevin?
yes.
And Laura Schifrin, yes. Thank you all for your participation tonight. I appreciate all of you.